Today, our insight looks at autism and how countries are diagnosing and treating the brain disorder. Diagnosis can vary widely from country to country. In the United States, about 1 in 88 people are considered to be what's called on the spectrum. That means they have some form of autism. Only 12 years ago, that figure was about 1 in 150. That's a far cry from countries like China, which reports cases of autism at around 1 in 1,000. And the United Kingdom and Japan, both those countries report rates of around 3 cases in 1,000. Temple Grandin is an American scientist considered one of the world's leading experts on autism, not just because she's written some of the most informative books about the condition, but also because she herself is autistic. Her latest book explores the more recent developments in diagnosing and treating autism, a condition that, for unknown reasons, is on the rise here in the United States. CCTV's MacCarthy spoke with Dr. Temple Grandin, who shares her personal experience so that we can better understand those diagnosed with the condition.
The critically acclaimed HBO film Temple Grandin tells the story of the woman diagnosed with autism as a young child. It illustrates the strong role her mother played in teaching her to overcome her social awkwardness and pursue her interests in science and animals.
Mother was instrumental in always pushing me. She had a really good idea just how much to stretch me. Because to get some of these kids to advance, you got to push them just outside their comfort zone. But remember, no surprises. Surprises scare. And when I was a teenager and I had the opportunity to go out to my aunt's ranch, I was afraid to go. And Mother says, well, you have a choice. You can go for 1 or 2 weeks, or you can go all summer. But not going, that was not going to be one of the choices. This is one of my professional books, Genetics and the Behavior of Domestic Animals. It's an academic book.
Childhood summers on her aunt's ranch and her passion for animals eventually led to a career as a researcher, author, and professor of animal science. From a low-functioning toddler to a self-described nerdy teenager, Temple Grandin became a prodigy as an adult. Her innate ability to understand how animals think led her to design what have become the most popular livestock handling facilities in the world. Grandin can instantly create designs like this at a level of sophistication that would require most professionals to work painstakingly for days. It's because she thinks in pictures, which she says is also how animals think.
I'm a total visual thinker. I don't think in language, I think in pictures. And so some of the very first work I did with cattle, I went out to feed yards in Arizona, and I noticed the cattle would stop and refuse to walk over a shadow. They'd stop and refuse to go past a chain hanging down in a chute. Or there might be a car parked next to the facility. They'd stop at that. They noticed visual distractions that most people just don't seem to notice.
Grandin says the latest scanning technology shows how her brain on the left is wired differently from a normal brain on the right.
It was very exciting to get to use this new technology, high-definition diffusion tensor imaging, that can actually track individual fiber track. And I found I had a definitely abnormal circuit for speech output. I had trouble getting my speech out, but that circuit then branched all over the whole brain, which ended up giving me a visually indexed search engine.
In early childhood, most autistics appear to function on a low level. And Grandin warns that parents must intervene early with the right kinds of therapies and challenges for each child.
If you have a 3-year-old child that's nonverbal, the worst thing you can do is nothing. You've got to work with that child, teaching him words, teaching him how to take turns. You must not let them just sit in a corner rocking. And then you get the mild forms of autism where there is no speech delay. This is your socially awkward kid that might be really good at math or something like that. That he needs to be moved ahead in math. Don't hold him back.
That's one of the key messages in Grandin's latest book, The Autistic Brain. She wants to challenge how society views autistics.
I would estimate that many of the people that work in the tech industry, doing computer programming, developing all kinds of electronics, people who have worked on the space program and other things, have got a little bit of that autistic trait. You take out some social genes, then you get genes for doing fun stuff, like doing a trip to the moon or doing the Mars rover or developing something like an iPhone.
For now, most autistics are diagnosed by psychiatrists, but Grandin hopes the growing use of brain scans to discover the disorder will lead to earlier, more accurate and specific diagnoses. Mary MacCarthy, CCTV, Fort Collins, Colorado.